we shall be looking at the force. Yes, what is a force? A force can be anything that changes a body's state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line. And therefore, force can be in terms of either a pull or a push on an object. So if force is defined as a pull or a push on an object, then what could be the effects of force on that object? One, force may cause a stationary body to move. For instance, you find a tin and kick it. You have applied the force on this stationary tin to move. 2. Force may change the shape of the body. The tin might get deformed. 3. Force may also change the direction of motion of a body. The best example for this could be a strong wind blowing. If it finds you on a bicycle, you might change direction or you might even fall down. Still, force can increase or decrease the speed of a moving body. That is, if we talk about automotives, we have the braking force and the accelerating force. So the braking force, that is used to reduce the speed. The accelerating force is used to increase the speed. And lastly, force may also stop motion. So these are the effects of force on a body. 1. Causing stationary bodies to move. Also may stop motion. It may change the shape of the body or change the direction of the motion or increase or decrease the speed of a moving body. Force is specified by both magnitude and direction. When you apply force on an object, this force has a direction to take, and it has a magnitude. Therefore, since it has both magnitude and direction, it is termed as a vector quantity, where vector quantities are physical quantities with both magnitude and direction. If we look at types of force, we have various types of force. Among these, we have frictional force, we have gravitational force, we have magnetic force, electric force, centripetal force, centrifugal, tension or elastic force, we have the upthrust, we have cohesional force, we have adhesional force, we also have weight, among others. There are very many. Let us look at friction. Friction is a common force that is so important in our lives. However, it also has the negative side of it. So friction is a force that opposes relative motion between two surfaces in contact. These surfaces must be in contact, and the force must oppose relative motion between two surfaces in contact. That is friction. When a force is applied to pull or push an object that is in contact with a surface, then a frictional force comes into existence and acts in opposite direction. So the body cannot move until the frictional force is overcome. If you have ever noticed that when you pulling an object or pushing, before it starts moving, you apply much effort. Why? Because some of your energy is being used to overcome friction. That's why we use much effort before the object starts moving. Once the friction is overcome, then the body moves. But the frictional force is in types. We have the static, dynamic, and limiting. However, friction does not only exist between two surfaces of solid objects. We also have frictional force in fluids, and this is known as the viscous force or viscosity. When we look at types of friction, we have the static friction, that is the friction force between two bodies or surfaces at rest. When these are at rest, assuming we have a wooden block resting on the floor, the friction between the two is static friction. Then we have the dynamic or sliding or kinetic friction. This is the frictional force between two surfaces or two bodies sliding relative to each other. Lastly, limiting friction is the maximum frictional force between two bodies or surfaces at the point of sliding relative to each other. That is when the object is about to move over another. That is limiting friction. Friction has advantages, however, it also has some disadvantages. Before we look at the disadvantages, what are the advantages of friction? Due to friction, we are able to write. Due to friction, we are able to walk without sliding. Due to friction, we are able to sharpen our instruments. Due to friction, the vehicles are able to move without sleeping. Due to friction, we are able to light a matchbox, among others. However, friction also has disadvantages, and these include producing unnecessary noise. Normally, if you have ever used the wheelbarrow, you could notice this. If also you have ever cycled a bicycle, normally you get that weird noise. That is due to friction. Still, friction causes wearing out of surfaces. Friction also produces unnecessary heat, and also it slows motion, because some of the energy that is meant to run is used to overcome friction, so it slows motion. In the same way, it reduces the efficiency of the machine, since part of the energy is used in overcoming friction. So, after those disadvantages, then friction can be reduced. How? We could use smooth surfaces. We could also use lubrication of the surfaces in contact. We can also use rollers or ball bearing in moving parts. Those are the ways of how we can reduce friction. However, sometimes friction is important, and where it is important, how can it be increased? That is yours. Think about that.